This is the Mr. Productivity Podcast, and I want you to get ready to meet Heidi Schalk. She's a powerhouse visibility and business strategy mentor who's on a mission to help professionals shine in the spotlight. With expertise in stage presence, event building, and strategic visibility, Heidi empowers entrepreneurs to stand out, expand their influence, and achieve remarkable business growth. Heidi, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
I love the topic of visibility because we live in a world where everybody's on social media. Everyone's got a blog. Most people have a podcast. We're live streaming, and we don't understand that you got to stand out. You have to stand out. I just finished reading a book by, I hope I say his name right, Mike Michalowicz, called Get Different. And I really like that book because he says if you market like everyone else in your industry, you're like wearing the same gray suit. You got to stand out. Lime green, hot pink, something that makes you stand out. And I have never thought about this before until like the last 3 or 4 months. Now I'm like, yeah, if we all are doing the exact same thing, we're all participating in the sea of sameness game.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's really important that you're standing out. There is so much noise in the online space right now, and especially if you're in coaching. And I'm sure in the other entrepreneurial areas too, but especially in coaching, there's so many people out there saying they're a coach or a consultant. And it's really important to know, how are you different? How are you unique? How are you standing out so that when people hear you or they read your message or they see your video or your content, consume your content, how are you making yourself different? And I think that was, especially for beginner entrepreneurs, they're looking at where other people are. And I always tell my clients, I'm like, you want to emulate what they're doing. Like, don't reinvent the wheel. Do what's already working. And you get to bring your uniqueness and specialty into that because that's what's going to attract your dream clients to you. We don't need to be vanilla. Vanilla doesn't work. Vanilla blends in, and our goal is to stand out. And there's a lot of fear that comes into being seen because you're literally putting your stake in the ground and sharing with the world and being very vulnerable. You're opening yourself up to criticism or people coming at you by saying, this is who I am. This is what makes me different. This is the problems I solve. And this is why I can solve it better than others.
A real life example. I identify as Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. That's the generation I grew up in. So that's who I am. And so when I'm on podcasts, live streams, speaking from the stage, I'm Tigger. And one day I was looking at my email newsletters, and I tend to write them 4 to 6 weeks out because they're all evergreen. And I'm like, my email newsletters are very professorial. They're not Tigger-like. I'm like, there's a disconnect there. So I worked with AI and I said, look, I want to make this sound more Tigger-like. Well, it went to the far extreme. I said, well, let's dial back, not that Tigger-like. But now my email newsletters are more matching with my brand, my excitement, my love for life. And I want people to understand that incongruency could really hurt your business, could it not?
Absolutely. And AI, there's a lot of benefit to AI. And I love that you brought that up. I actually had a conversation with a tech genius. She's amazing. And she helps, she's in the innovation space, and she came from the corporate world into now consulting and coaching. And she actually coached me on some AI things and my audience. And she was saying, like, you get to train it into your voice. And many times we are like you shared, you are Tigger-like. You have a very fun personality, very engaging personality. And what's the other word I'm looking for? We're infectious personality and attractive, very attractive. So you want that to emulate into your written content as well. And many times we can downplay that in the written space. We can get too much in our head. And some people can be seen in a more vocal way, and some people can be seen, they're more comfortable in the written space. And it's important that we're bringing that into all areas of our content. And it's not always easy, as you just shared in real life with your example. So bringing AI into it, which is what you did, was a very smart move, because as you're wanting to build your business, you should be bringing AI. I pushed AI off for months and months and months this year. I was like, no, I don't want to go there. Everybody's doing it. I get to be different. And this is where I share, like, you get to emulate what's working, like success leaves clues, but you also get to bring in your own uniqueness into it. You have to train AI, like you just did, into your voice. So when you ask it a question, the more, and she shared with me, garbage in is garbage out. So meaning the more information you can give AI and sharing what you want, the more it's going to give you back. And that being said, exactly what happened with you happened with me when I played with AI. It gives you the extreme, right? And then we get to go, that's awesome. And thank you, right? We're building a relationship here with AI. And this is what I'm looking for. And sometimes we need to drill down a few times till we land on it.
When I speak, I will start every presentation the same way. You need to understand something about me. I am Tigger-like, and I'm like, I have loads of energy. So when I'm up here, don't be afraid to raise your hands because I will just keep on trucking. And I remember I spoke at an event here in Houston, well, Galveston, a couple years ago, and I was the closing keynote speaker for this conference. The guy right before me was breaking all the rules. He was reading his slides. I think a dead person had a more personality than he had. And I stood in the back of the room and I see people do the worst thing a speaker could ever see if you're going to speak next. They started packing up their belongings and like, hey, I get out of here, ditch the last guy and head on home, right? And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to give it my all. I got up there. Here's Tigger up on stage. And my wife was there. And I could see from the stage, but she could hear people talking around them. And they started taking out their notebooks from their bags. And they're like, wow. And everybody stayed. Everybody's eyes were lit up and they were smiling. They were laughing at the jokes. And when I was done, they came up to me and said, thank you so much. The meeting planner said, thank you for closing it with a bang, because people are giving you the presence of their time, one of the best gifts they can give you. And you can't be boring. I can't do boring. I don't care how good the podcast is. If it's boring, I can't listen. I know they are popular podcast hosts, and I know they probably make a lot of money. But for me, my brand is Tigger-like. It's very exciting. And I can tell you, when I have boring guests on my podcast, people stop listening because there's too much of a difference between my energy and their energy. Mm. People want to listen to things that lift them up and excitement, not anger. People don't want to be angry. If you want to be angry, listen to a political podcast. But I want to help people be more productive, discover their true selves, be better versions so they can help serve their community. But I want them to enjoy it as well. So I look at it, there's a term out there called edutainment. So I am educating you while I'm entertaining you, hopefully.
Yeah. And I love that you're bringing this up because I think there's a way we can go deeper here. And it's a really key point for somebody listening. Everybody has different personalities. And this is the thing that we're talking about when it comes to really standing out from the crowd. Not everybody is going to feel comfortable being Tigger-like, or, being in that environment. Some people are like more, like everybody's got a different personality, and that's good. So if you're listening to this, like, I'm high energy. I love your energy, Mark. Like this, like I'm all like, let's go, let's do this. But for somebody that's entering the entrepreneur space, or you're ready to scale and you're listening to this and going, okay, I'm still learning my brand. I'm still figuring out how to stand out. Maybe my messaging isn't landing as much as I want it to be. Doesn't mean you get to just rinse and repeat what we're doing. You want to be attracting the people who resonate with you and who you resonate with. If you are more of a even key, like lower energy type of relaxed, kind of laid back kind of person, your dream client may not be high energy, and that's okay. So just you be you. Like I tell my clients, I'm like, if you're a jean and a white t-shirt kind of girl, then you show up in jeans and a white t-shirt kind of, in your brand, because that's who you want to be bringing in. I'm more like, I like my heels. I like my makeup. I like to go out and have a good, dress up. And I also like to be in my jeans and my hair up in a bun and my sweater or my sweatshirt. I play both sides of that coin. But in my branding, you're going to see me more high end as far as my brand goes. And I'm also very beachy. So even though I'm on the beach, I might be in white jeans and an off the shoulder top because I'm live in Florida. I was born and raised here. So just when it comes to being standing out, don't be unapologetic is what I'm trying to get. And you are unapologetic, Mark, which is so awesome and so infectious. And we need more of that in the online space.
A little bit about my energy. So as Heidi said, I am very Tigger-like, but you don't have to be Tigger-like. There's Winnie the Pooh. There is Christopher Robin. There's Owl. There's Piglet, who, if you're not familiar with Winnie the Pooh, that's not a big fat guy. It's a little tiny pig. But you want to stay away from Eeyore. We don't want Eeyore. If you don't know who Eeyore is.
No, we don't want to be Eeyore.
We love Eeyore, but Eeyore is saying, I'm never going to land the client. I'm going to lose the house. I'm going to get a flat tire. It's going to rain. We don't want to hang around Eeyore. So don't choose Eeyore as your persona.
Exactly. If you're in the Eeyore stage, then I highly recommend you reach out to Mark or you find a mindset mentor quickly, because that's going to not keep you. That's going to shift your money energy and your money mindset and all the things. So we do love Eeyore, but we do not want to be, and building your network is one thing that I talk highly about. Like, your network is your net worth. You want to be surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, and you want to be putting yourself in rooms where I always say, how can I be the dumbest in the room? Right? That's the room that I want to be in. So if you're surrounding yourself with Eeyores, this is going to be a really long game for you, and it probably won't be a sustainable one.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned something about clothing. So for the longest time, I was mentored by people who are older, and they would say, you got to wear a suit. I hated wearing suits. Mm-mm. And one day I decided, when I go out and speak, I'm going to be like Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
Sneakers, jeans, and a t-shirt. And I thought it was a big move. I really did, Heidi. And guess how many people had a problem with it? Zero.
None. Yeah.
Nobody cared. They go, we're not buying your wardrobe. Now, don't wear anything offensive on your shirt, but I don't wear a suit because I am super high energy and I don't like suits. That's not my brand. I'm not a suit guy with tuxedos. That's not me, okay? I don't have a fancy sports car. It's not me. I'm on this interview right now. You're dressed better than I am. I'm wearing a t-shirt. This is comfortable for me. It's also my podcast, so no apologies. And you made a good point about apologies. If you are in your zone, if you are feeling comfortable in your skin, there is no need to apologize. If people don't like it, they can unfollow you, unsubscribe, and don't watch you. But you have to be you unapologetically.
Yes. And I don't think I'm dressed better than you. I'm in a sweater. I'm in Florida. We have a chilly day and I'm like, whoo, doors are open. Sweater is on. This is boot weather coming, because this is the best it's going to get for us with boot and sweater weather. So yeah, it's off the shoulder. It looks dressy, but I'm in jeans underneath this. Like, this is jeans and a sweater. So thank you for that, though. I'll take it. And yes, just like you said, Mark, you need to show up wearing what you're comfortable wearing. If you're speaking on stage, you're showing up to a podcast, you're on social media, you're hitting that live button. It doesn't matter if you're in workout clothes with your hair up, walking down the street, getting your exercise in, and you're being super productive, as Mark is the guru of this. Productivity is the key to success as far as like getting more done in a less amount of time, so we can try and have time for our families, right? In this environment. But really showing up as you. And if you're on stage and you're in a suit and you're super uncomfortable with it, that's going to shine through. And if you're making an offer, nobody's going to take you up on it because they can see the uncomfortableness in you. Again, people buy from people. So they want to know when they're buying from you that they're buying from someone that they can know, that they know, like, and trust. The key is trust. The key in creating success in yourself is trusting yourself that you've got this, right? And the key to people working with you is them trusting you, but they can't trust you if you don't trust yourself. And if you're trying to be somebody that you're not, you're lying to yourself first, which is going to show up in the long run. So I completely agree with you. Authenticity is the number one thing that we should be shooting for. And authenticity is what's going to help you stand out from the crowd, because people are really going to see they're daring to step out of the comfort zone. They're daring to show their vulnerability. And I think vulnerability is the most uncomfortable thing that people can do For me, it was the most uncomfortable thing. I'm not going to talk for everyone. And people are going to resonate with you faster when you're showing up that way than when you're trying to be something you're not.
Gary Vaynerchuk has a Jersey potty mouth, and that's his brand. Mm-hmm. He curses everywhere. He loves the F-bomb. And I remember seeing a video from him a couple years ago. Some guy asked him a question at one of his events. He says, I want to be more like you, but I can't bring myself to swear. And Gary goes, do you swear? And he goes, well, no. He goes, what are you going to try to swear for? He goes, that's my brand. If your brand is not swearing, don't think because you're going to start cursing like me, you're going to be as successful as I am. Like you said, you can't start doing something because someone else does it and hope you get the same results. Gary has left millions of dollars, according to him, on the table because he refused to speak in events that want him to stay clean. Now, he does a few clean events, but he likes cursing. That's his thing. If Gary started talking like using the Queen's English, or I guess the King's English now, and very proper, and he enunciated, people go, dude, what's wrong with you? Because it's not his brand.
And he would look super uncomfortable up there doing it. You would see the pain in him. You would feel pain for him with that as well. And I did hear that same exact thing. I loved that clip from him saying like, I've left money on the table because they put stipulations on him. They put parameters and boundaries on him, and he wasn't going to follow through with that. He's actually probably made millions more. He thinks he's left millions on the table. I would venture to say he's made more millions because he didn't succumb to those boundaries that he was put on, or those parameters. So if you really want to become like a Gary V, not a Gary V, you are not Gary V. You are yourself. And there's beauty in that and specialness in that. If you were supposed to be Gary V, you would have been Gary V, right? If you're supposed to be Mark, you would have been Mark. Like everybody is unique, and you fought so many obstacles just to even be born in the first place. I don't know off the top of my head what that stat is, but look it up if you're listening. Mark, you may know it. And if you do, please share it with us. But there is like a specific stat, like we are like one in so many million to even be on this planet. So you won just by being born. Like you created a huge win just by being here and being born. So take that win and do what you want with it. And don't be afraid to be yourself, because it doesn't matter. Like our job as entrepreneurs is to attract our dream clients to us, but equally de-attract those people who are not meant to work with us. Because my goal is I want as many people to succeed in business and to show up and create the life that they want to create by shining a light on themselves so they can create this massive ripple effect in the world. I want heart-centered people. Those people who do not resonate with me, I want them to find the person that they do so they can create that ripple effect in the way that they're supposed to, that I could not help them get there.
I've heard Gary say it's $1 trillion to 1, though I don't know if that's backed by any research. He may have just said it for sensationalism, but he said $1 trillion to 1. And anyway, for you to be here at this day and time, you look at the odds. I mean, like he says, your mom and dad had to have sex at the exact same time, hopefully at the exact same time. That'd be pretty weird if it wasn't, but at the exact time, and you had to be born on the exact place, and you were born, like he was born in Belarus and came over here. It's not happenstance. Things like, I'm a Christian, I believe in God, but maybe you don't, but there is a rhythm to the world. There's a reason why things happen. I don't think that things just happen because of happenstance. And I'm not a fan of the law of attraction. I think if you want to attract things into your life, you have to work. I mean, you can't sit home and weigh 500 pounds and go, I am skinny, I have 6-pack abs. No, you have to put down the Doritos and start working out and eat better. That's where the magic happens. But so many people, and I'm sure you have them as clients, I get them. What's that one thing? There is not one thing. There's not one book. There's not one coach. There's not one course. It's a whole bunch of things that you layer on top of each other over years to get the results you want, even whether that's your authentic brand or something else.
Yeah, I love how, and I'm not talking anything negative about coaches, because I don't talk anything negative about anybody, because I believe everybody can help people in their own way. But when somebody says to you, I've made 7 figures in 30 days or 7 months or whatever it is. Yes, they may have finally figured out, but there was years behind them of the traction that they were creating. And I get upset when I see people do that. And then people are like, well, can I get this in 30 days or 60 days? I'm like, well, one, it depends on your lifestyle and circumstances and how much time you want to put into this. And there are certain things that you need to have in place in order to make that happen. I completely agree with you. And like an Eeyore, we want to surround ourselves and bring ourselves into people who are going to lift us up. And as far as the law of attraction, like I said, your network is your network worth. You can't just say, I'm going to be thin and sit there and not do anything about it, and it's just going to melt off of you. You get to take action. Action brings clarity. That being said, you get to have a goal. You get to have a vision, which is where that manifestation and that law of attraction comes in, because you get to be working towards something and believe in yourself that you can achieve it and be putting things into place that you can be doing it. I've done a lot of journaling. I've done a lot of gratitude work. You can't be an Eeyore when you're grateful. So that is one practice that I do talk to my clients about. I'm like, how can you incorporate gratitude into your life every day? Because when entrepreneurship does get hard, or you're feeling like maybe you're getting overwhelmed, when you're in gratitude, you can't be in the negative Eeyore position of it.
Couple things I have, what you just said is so powerful. A couple things I want to revisit. Number one, I've been hearing the phrase a lot over the last year called putting in the reps. So the current coach I'm working with now, he's got the saying, you spend 2 hours a day on LinkedIn for 6 months, you'll make $15,000 a month. Not 5 days a week, not Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, not the weekends, not holiday, 7 days a week. And it's like when people start a podcast, great guns, and after 7 episodes, Spotify hasn't come calling for $100 million contract and they give up. No, you have to put the reps in. How do you think these bodybuilders get into shape? They don't go to gym once a month. They are always working out. You've got to put the reps in. And there's no magic formula. If you do this for so many times, you're going to get this result. You may not. You may exceed the results. You may not meet your results, but you got to put the reps in. I know a lot of people, they are focused on Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Oh, great. Here comes Thanksgiving. Now, we recorded this back before Thanksgiving. I know it's January. I get that. But they were focused on 4-day weekend. And then when Christmas comes along, 4-day weekend. And solopreneurs go, well, on Friday afternoon, we say one more day to the weekend. And if you're not a solopreneur, you don't get that joke. Because our weeks end on Saturday and they start on Sunday. Not because we have to. I love what I do. I work on Christmas. Why? Not everybody celebrates Christmas. I worked on Thanksgiving. Why? Thanksgiving's an American holiday. So I don't work 8 hours. I show up for an hour or two because I'm willing to put the reps in when most other people are not. Hey, it's Mr. Productivity, and a quick timeout from the episode. I have 2 big favors to ask of you. If you are watching or listening to this on Spotify, first of all, if you would give me a follow, that would help the Spotify algorithm to serve this podcast up to other people so I can help them like I'm helping you. And would you leave me a comment? There's a place here on Spotify where you can send me a comment. You can say hello. You can say, what up, dog? You can say, hey, Mr. Productivity, love the podcast today. Just remember, Mr. is all spelled out, M-I-S-T-E-R, Mr. Productivity. Hey, thanks for your attention. Let's get back to the episode. Woohoo!
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you brought up bodybuilding because I'm 52 now. When I was in my early 30s, I did a bodybuilding competition and a figure competition. And it's all about doing the work and really committing. I mean, talk about commitment. You know, when you walk out on that stage, it's you and you. I'm not competing against the other women out there. There are women that think that way. I'm competing against, but I wasn't. I was competing against myself. And I knew when I walked down on that stage, if I looked back, did I cheat? Did I do a cheat day? Did I do this? Did I do everything I was supposed to do? And again, we're not perfect, but I really committed to the fact that when I walked down that stage, win or lose, I did the best I could. I brought it all out there. I brought my A game. Same thing with entrepreneurship. I'm not saying that we're not going to have those days. We are. And that's why community is really important, because it can be a solo journey. So finding community, finding people who are like-minded, finding mentorship like you have, Mark, and someone that you trust that is on board with your mission, on board with your vision, that can support you, because it isn't a 9 to 5. I was just talking to a gentleman who literally runs it's called No More 9 to 5. No more 9 to 5. There's no more 9 to 5 when you're in the entrepreneurship space. My children, I have 4 hours a day, 4.5 hours blocked time a day. I'm a single mom, and I take my daughter to school in the morning. I have about 45 minutes after that when I get home to do what I need to do, wake my son up, get him ready to school, take him to school. I've got a 4.5 hour block. And then some days I'm in the car for 3 to 4 hours in the afternoon doing after school activities, picking them up, blah, blah, blah. Finally get home at 8:30. And then I'm up at night working until I fall over and go to bed. And that's not all the time, but if we're in launch or we're doing something and I'm excited about this new product or whatever, that's how it is. Starting a podcast, that was a goal of mine. And now I have a podcast called Be She. We just found out it's in the top 10% of globally podcasts. It's a big win for us. And I was shocked. I didn't know it until somebody said, congratulations. I'm like, what? But these are the things that you're doing to create the goals that you want to create. So at the end of the day, and the biggest thing about what you said, Mark, was, don't focus on what other people are doing. Somebody says they're doing this 2 hours a day. I'm sorry, they didn't get out of bed, launch a business, and start working 2 hours a day, and they're making 7 million or making 7 figures. If they're telling you that, I call BS, right? Doesn't happen. You need
Actually, you can't curse, but we'll edit that out.
Okay. I thought you cursed.
Nope, not on my show. I will not curse on public.
Okay, then it's BS. It's not I don't really curse on social. I curse behind the scenes. I will tell you, I do curse behind the scenes in my life.
Oh, I do too. I just don't curse on social media or on my podcast.
I don't either. So I apologize. So I should have asked you that before. But yeah, you need to literally don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. You need to put in the reps, and that's an important piece. And I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think too many people are seeing what other people have spent 20 years building, 10 years, 15 years building, and they think they can do that in 3 months. And it's important to know that it takes hard work and commitment. And you can do this faster if you don't lone wolf it. Hi, my name is Heidi. I'm a recovering lone wolfer. I did that at the beginning when I started my business, and it really stalled me. So finding community, finding mentorship, finding someone that you can reach out to and go, hey, I just don't have it today. I need support. And then they know that you're there in return when they need the same, is going to get you further faster.
You mentioned something about believing in yourself. There is a playlist that one of my guests a number of years ago shared with me on YouTube. I want to say the guy who narrates is Eddie Perniro. I'm butchering your name. I apologize. But there's a clip in there where the guy says, believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in me, that's not going to affect me believing in myself, or some way he said that. And I thought that the first time I ever heard that, it really resonated with me. And now every time I hear it, I get chills, because a lot of people, let's be real, are not going to believe in you. Mainly your family and your friends. What are you a solopreneur for? What are you trying to do? Just get a real job. Like my wife goes, a real job. Apparently solopreneurship is not a real job. But that doesn't it used to bother me when I became a solopreneur back in 2005. Then I realized whether they believe in me or not, I'm not going to stop. And that is one of the key tenets. If you're a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, if people say, again, it usually starts with family, friends, and neighbors who go, what are you wasting your time for? But other solopreneurs, I've never had one solopreneur or entrepreneur say, what do you waste your time for? They're cheering me on. So I can tell you immediately if you are bent towards solopreneurship or entrepreneurship, or if you're like, I'm a 9 to 5, 3-day weekends, can't wait for my vacations. I can tell your mindset by if you're encouraging me or if you're not, because I am going to believe in me regardless if anybody else believes in me.
Yeah. And that's really important, because if you don't believe in yourself, then how is anybody going to raise their hand and say yes to working with you or buying from you? Because you need to believe in yourself first in order for others to believe that you can get them the result that they're looking for, that solution that they want. But that's a good point, because many people that don't believe in I don't want to say they don't believe in us. I think it's more of a protection mechanism, especially when it comes to the people that are closest to us. I had that too. I had family that was like, why don't you just go get another degree versus why you want to be coaching? Like, go be a psychiatrist then. Just go back to school, get the scholarship, whatever you want to do or what. And I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. And it's not because they don't love us or care about us. They're worried. They're concerned. They don't want to see us struggle. They don't want to see us fail. It's more of like, that fear sets in. And I have the same thing with my daughter. For example, my daughter's 15 and she's learning how to drive. And I'm just like, I want to keep her in this bubble and go, no, 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 no. Like, you don't understand. My job is to keep you alive. And she's like, Mom, I need to drive. And I'm like, no, I get to keep you alive. Like, we're in South Florida. It's craziness here. And that's only because it's not because I don't trust her or want her to succeed. It's more of a fear of, she can really get hurt, And I think the same thing with people that maybe don't believe it, like, quote unquote, we feel like, oh, why don't you believe in me? It's just because they don't want to see us fail, or they don't want to see us get hurt because they love us so much. That being said, like you said, Mark, it's really important, no matter where you are in the game, if you are starting out or you're moving to the next level, because as we level up, sometimes we're going to level up faster than others. It's just, we may have different goals and vision than someone else. They may be happy in this spot. We may want to create something different, and that's fine. Your network could change. So you need to be finding people consistently who have that mindset or are going to support you along the way. Again, don't be the smartest person in the room. Once you find out you're the smartest or close to it, it's time to move into a different room. Like you said, Mark, it's important that we're finding people who are like-minded. So if you're wanting to be in entrepreneurship, the sooner that you can step into those rooms, the faster and better you're going to be mentally as well, and emotionally, because it could be a lonely journey.
What's interesting is when you told me your daughter is learning how to drive, for some reason, a memory popped into my head. I remember the first time I got to drive in my mom's car without my mom in there. And I remember the store I went to. I was living up in Rochester, New York at the time. It's called Convenient Food Mart. I actually drove to the store, got myself a candy bar, and drove home. I don't know why that memory popped in my head when you told me about your daughter learning how to drive. Isn't it funny how our brain works?
It is. What candy bar? Do you remember the candy bar?
No, I don't. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually driving. I was so paranoid because I was a teenager on the road for the first time. I wonder if the other drivers knew I was alone for the first time, they probably would have pulled over to the side of the road.
Yeah, it's great. I'm scared to death of it, but I'm putting those positive vibes out there, right? I'm manifesting safety and all good things. And she will drive when I know she's ready to drive. That's for sure. Yeah.
Let's talk about journaling, because journaling is something I poo-pooed for a long time. I did it, I quit. I did it, I quit. And now I've been doing it for almost 2 years now. And I was introduced to journaling prompts because I'm like, what am I going to journal about? And then I happened to see someone on X say, this is how they start their day. They have 5 prompts they answer. They're one question. I write the questions out every day, so they're tattooed in my brain. And I answer them. The first one is, what's one thing I'm grateful for? The next one is, what's one thing I'm excited about? What's one virtue I want to exhibit? What's one thing I need to do? And the most painful thing I write out is, what's one thing I'm avoiding? So I answer those questions. But before I do that, my current coach helped me with creating a vision for myself. And I actually write my vision out of my journal every single day. I've got it memorized, but I write the date, the day of the week, and my vision, and I answer those 5 prompts. Because a lot of people, when they look at a blank journal, they're like, what am I going to write? But if you start with a prompt, I don't know if you use prompts, but for me, prompts are magic because it unlocks the stuff that's in my head.
No, those are so good. And what was the last one that you said?
What's one thing I'm avoiding?
Yeah, that's a good one. I just never even thought of journaling on that one. And that's good because it gets you really clear and maybe a way to it gets you clear on where you get to step out of your comfort zone. Because one thing I talk about all the time is it's important that we're getting comfortable with getting uncomfortable. And that's at the forefront every morning of where you get to step into today, challenge yourself. What's that challenge you're going to step into? I totally agree. Everything you said was wow to me because I'm the same way. I poo-poo journaling for years. People were like, you got to journal, you got to journal. And had I journaled sooner, I'd probably be much further. I agree that journaling is a key point in success. One, personally, emotionally, spiritually, relationship wise, business wise, everything. Journaling is good because it just gives you time, one, to connect with yourself. And to connect with spirit, if you believe in that, whatever, depending on what you believe in. I believe in God. And so, connecting with spirit, connecting and just taking that time to just, even if it's 5 minutes a day, I think it's key. I used to start out with gratitude before I did journaling. I would do my gratitude journal. That was my journaling. And I started out with just writing my gratitude out. And I did this for a long time. And I actually saw huge advancements in my business and in my personal life when I did this. And then I stopped for a while, just like you did. You just jump off the bandwagon and then you're just like, okay, things are falling off the rails. Let's get back on it. Where's the gap? What's working? What's not working? What did I change? But the gratitude journaling was big for me. And I started out writing out my gratitude and I would do it where it was just a flow of consciousness. What I'm grateful for. I didn't have any limits. Some days it would be 10 things. Some days it would fill half a page. Some days it would be a full page. And then I would immediately flow into future gratitude. But the way I did my future gratitude is I wrote it as if it was my current gratitude. So I wrote it as if it's already happened. And it was amazing when I did that, how soon and how fast some of those future gratitudes turned into current gratitudes. I didn't know how that was going to happen. I didn't even know if it was even possible. And all of a sudden things shifted, that manifestation happened, law of attraction, I guess, that we think is woo-woo, because I'm all, I think some of these things are woo-woo. I'm all about the doing, as you are as well, Mark. But it was amazing. That was proof for me that actually we can start creating things just by the way we think. And the journaling, I struggled with journaling too when it came to, well, what do I even journal on? So the prompts are key. And I just bought a book called The Way of the Wealthy Woman. And it talks about money blocks, releasing money blocks and starting to increase your money manifestation and your receiving mode. Because I'm very masculine driven. I'm a doer. I'm a single mom. I got to go, do. And it's really important that we have that balance of masculine and feminine. So that's what I'm been working on this year. And really that book gave me a lot of great prompts. And ChatGPT is a great thing, to go to and ask for prompts as well. So I totally agree with you. I think journaling is much easier when you have some prompts and find the prompts that you enjoy, that work for you.
Mm. Yeah. And you mentioned the gratitude limits. One of the things I hate giving people is a number. How many tasks should I have a day? How many things should I be grateful for? No, don't do that. It could be 1, it could be 10, it could be 100. Okay. I don't like when people put absolutes on because I don't want to say, oh, you should write down 5 things you're grateful for. And then you sit there, well, I can only think of 2 things a day. Well, don't sit there and strain yourself for the other 3. Maybe one day you write 1, one day you write 6, one day you write 12, one day you write 3. Just write what's on your heart at the time. This is one of the things that hung me up when I started journaling. I'm like, okay, how many words should I journal? Should I fill up a whole page? And I was more concerned about the mechanics of it than actually doing it. Once I switched and go, some days I journal a lot, some days I journal little. It doesn't matter. I never skip a day. Matter of fact, if I forget to do it in the morning, because I get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I find myself, I haven't journaled by noon, I get, oh man, and I will actually journal that day because it's so a part of me. Like I run every day for 7.5 years. I've been running every day. If I don't run, my day's off. And so I love journaling because it's like a personal therapist. If I'm mad at someone, I could just write their letter, write my journal. They'll never see it, but then I'll feel better about it. So I can't overemphasize the power of journaling, but one little notice, dear listener, do not look for the perfect journal. It doesn't exist. Grab a notebook you have at home. People get tripped up. I'll start journaling when I find the perfect journal. You never will start journaling if you look for the perfect journal.
That's so true. For women, I like pretty things. So I'm a girly girl. For me, I find a journal that I think is pretty, that lights me up, that I'm going to get excited to write in. That being said, it's not a $300 journal. It could be a $5 journal. You don't have to spend a lot of money in a journal, but I totally agree with you, Mark. I have a journal for writing my stuff in. If I would just want to put my thoughts in, I can have that one. And then I have a specific journal for gratitude. Like that's only used for gratitude. I wish I had it with me now. I bought it at Barnes and Noble and it has a big heart on it made out of red roses and stuff. And it reminds me of being grateful. Like it's coming from my heart and there's no pressure. I really like that you put a point to that or brought that to the forefront where it's like, give yourself grace. I feel like so many times we listen to people and they're like, okay, before you go to bed, write 3 things you're grateful for or 5 things you're grateful for. And you're exhausted. And you're like, right now, I had a really not a good day. I'm just going to put, I'm grateful to be laying in my bed right now for my pillow. That's good. You call it a day. Like you don't have to have 5 things. Doing anything wrong. You're not ruining your abundance or your productivity or anything by only putting 1. I think in everything in life, we strive for perfectionism and there's too many boundaries around it. I read something the other day and it was so good. And I wish I could think about it right now, but it's like I was like, I read it yesterday, actually. This is perfect, Mark. Somebody put a post up on social media and it was like, okay, run the dishwasher twice. And she was going through a really hard time and she was like, it was a struggle for her to get up. Like somebody said, what's overwhelming to you? She goes, the dishes. I know for me, it's laundry. For her, she was like, it's the dishes. But she was going through depression and she was saying like, I can't even like stand there. I have to scrub the dishes to put it in the dishwasher because if I put it in the dishwasher, it won't wash properly. My dishwasher's not good. He goes, so put them in the dishwasher and run them twice. Run it 3 times. What are the rules that you can only run your dishwasher once, right? I thought that was so beautiful. And it was a great reminder and perfect timing for me. Like, why are we putting some restrictions on ourselves and saying we got to write 3 things of gratitude or 5 things of gratitude? Give yourself grace. I don't believe in work-life balance. I threw that out the window because I'm like work-life grace. Like you said, Mark, with the gratitude thing and limiting ourselves. If we can't fulfill that quota of 5 pieces of gratitude, then we're feeling like we're a failure. That's such a minor thing. Why are we setting ourselves up for failure, right? So work-life balance, that was the thing, like I was hitting myself against the wall. I'm like, my kids need me. I need myself. I need a self-care and everything. That's always in the background. And my work needs me. And it seems like I'm never evening out those scales between the 2, if not 3. And then I was always failing at the end of the day. And I finally threw it out the window. And I'm like, Heidi, this is over. We're not achieving work-life balance anymore. We're going for work-life grace. You get to give yourself grace in everywhere. So you get set yourself up to win every day versus setting yourself up to fail.
I love that. I love the fact if you're watching this on Spotify or YouTube, you can see Heidi's dog photobombing here in the back. So, but if you're listening to audio, you miss it. So this is why you should watch the video podcast because you get to see things like this. And you also get to see her microphone changing different colors as she talks. So these are all the things you miss if you're listening to audio podcast, but we still love you listening on audio. No worries whatsoever. Heidi, great conversation today. Where can people go to find out more about you and what you're doing in the world?
You can find me on social media everywhere. I'm on Instagram, Heidi Schalk Coaching, same place on LinkedIn, Heidi Schalk Coaching, Facebook, Heidi Schalk Coaching. We have a website, HeidiSchalk.com. You can check us out at the Be She podcast. It stands for Be Seen, Be Heard, Be Empowered. So whether you're a man or a woman, we're here for you. The goal is to share the journeys and stories of entrepreneurs so you can be empowered to go be seen and heard, shine your light, share your voice, and let people and create that change and ripple effect in the world. If you'd like to get on podcasts or get in the media, this is a great way of showcasing your authority. We have a template for you. You can go to HeidiSchalkCoaching.com/podcast and you can grab the template where you can start pitching podcasts and hosts like Mark, who's amazing, to be a guest.
Excellent. Well, after you go to Heidi's websites and follow her on social media, go to my website, MrProductivity.com, MISTER, MrProductivity.com. And I appreciate your time and attention for listening or watching this podcast with Heidi. We really appreciate it. Until next time, you know what to do. Stay productive. Most importantly, stay positive.